Hello, and welcome to Let's Play Fallen London. Fallen London is a browser-based free-to-play game that is actually one of my favorite games. I have been playing this game for years. It's got a fascinating setting, a really deep lore. There's just so many stories and a lot to do. Now, one downside about it is that it gets really grindy. Its main mechanic, it's one of the ones where you have a certain amount of actions to spend and they regenerate over time, and there's a lot that ends up with just being like, your next objective is to go spend 100 actions on a thing. Which isn't the best, and I know it. So what I'm going for here is going to be a largely story-focused sharing of this game. I'm going to go ahead and be paying for their exceptional friendship program thing, which is just a subscription that doubles the amount of actions you can bank. Normally you only have 20. This character will have 40 at a time. They regenerate at the same rate, but that way I can go ahead and record videos of 40 actions at once, which is a nice chunk of story. And then in between recordings, I'll be doing some of the more grindy stuff on the side that y'all don't need to watch, 100 of the same actions being done over and over again. So, today we are playing one Kinley Tiberius Edmondson, a person of mysterious and indistinct gender. Kinley has been imprisoned, and that's where we're at. So, unjustly imprisoned. The view from your cell is magnificent. Fallen London far below. You've come so far, and you're so close. No prison can hold you now. Hello, delicious friend. To find out who you are and why you're here, escape from prison. So, yes, get out of here first, worry about the view later. A plan forms. It's a half-mile fall from the barred cell window to the dark waters below. But a supply dirigible brings food to the prison every day. It passes directly below your window, and the mortar that holds the window bars in place is old and rotting. If you can work them free... It says, you're now preparing for a daring escape. How will you get through these bars? You'll need some sort of tool to loosen them. How will you acquire it? At this point, we are kind of establishing what type of character we're initially going to want to play. The four primary stats are as listed here. Watchful, which is basically a combination of intelligence and wisdom and how good you are at learning things and figuring things out. Your persuasive is, of course, charisma. Exactly what it says on the tin. Dangerous, it's kind of strength and con, it's how you do in a fight. And shadowy is how you are at stealth and thievery, that kind of thing. So, in this case, for our approach out, we have the watchful option. The jailers use work gangs of prisoners to expand the prison tunnels. If you can spot an overlooked hammer and chisel, or persuasive, you don't really know whether the jailer is male or female under its thick hood. You're not even sure if it's human. But you're very charming. Perhaps you can persuade it to give you a little gift. Dangerous. Rats here sometimes use tiny pickaxes, even minute sticks of dynamite to make their tunnels. If you can grab some of their tools. Or shadowy. Steal a jailer's iron-tipped cudgel right out of its belt. I think that sounds good. Let's go for that. A daring theft. As the jailer turns to leave the cell, your hand snakes out, swiftly and silently, and you snag the cudgel. It takes you a good half day to scrape away the mortar, but at last the bars are loose. And because we took that choice, we got slightly better at shadowy. Your preparations are complete. Here we go. Escape from Newgate prison. With a final struggle, you wrench the bars free, squeezing hastily through the window as the supply dirigible approaches. Escape from Newgate prison. With a final struggle, you wrench the bars free, squeezing hastily through the window as the supply dirigible approaches. You pause briefly on the narrow ledge outside, then leap onto the upper surface of the dirigible, sliding several alarming feet before you get a grip. You are free! Fallen London is now yours to explore. Welcome, delicious friend. So we get to pick our starting zone, as it were. And same as the choice before, this is largely picking what area we want to start progressing in. Our options are Watchmaker's Hill, where there is dangerous work, Spite, where there is shadowy work, Vale Garden, where we can work on persuasive, and Ladybones Road, where we can go learn to be watchful. In this case, we're going to escape to Spite. You've always been cunning and quick. You're going to make your fortune through shadowy activities in Spite. And we can switch between these areas very easily. None of this is like a hard commitment to anything, it's just where we're starting. The dirigible spirals slowly down over the smoldering lights of fallen London. The cavern breezes of beneath pluck at your clothing. You cough as smoke and acid fog drifts up from the dark streets of Spite. As the dirigible passes the spire of All Christs, you leap to safety. You clamber down into the shadows of Spite, avoiding the nests of bats and ravens. A thousand choices, out of prison and onto the streets. Now you're free, you'll find many more choices available to you. Explore fallen London, we must grow wise, strong, cunning, and rich. Make your name. While you're exploring the city, look for opportunities to make your name by accomplishing notable feats. As you become better known, more opportunities and stories will become available to you. Also, you're homeless. You should do something about that. Find somewhere to live. You need an address, or the constables might scoop you off the streets for vagrancy. Besides, it's cold out here, and where would you invite your friends to? We can attempt to charm our way into someone's home. You find yourself chatting to a widow who distributes food to the poor. Strange to find you on the streets, she says. You're obviously a gentle person of quality. If your persuasive is too low, we could go to Vale Garden. Or we can rent a room. For now, your payment will have to be the promise of good company and impeccable behavior. Let's try being charming. Let's see how it goes. It was not always so. Let me tell you my story. Are you a replacement for a child she lost? Or is her interest in you a little more carnal? Either way, you become the soft-hearted widow's guest. You deserve somewhere better, of course, but this will keep you out of the cold. It's a big improvement on the prison cell you were in such a short time ago. Finding better lodgings increases the number of opportunity cards you can keep in your hands. That has another... Oh, that's part of a whole other system. I'll get into it when we get to it. Which is now. So this is the basic Fallen London interface. Here on the left, it shows your stats, your money. You can save a bunch of different outfits and switch between them from here, which is great to be able to have like your fine evening wear for when you need to be persuasive and such as that. So these are all these stories that are here essentially permanently, or somewhat. They're the normal stories that I can come and do whenever. This up here is what is called the Opportunity Deck, and these represent kind of just things that are happening in the city as you're going around. They are a limited opportunity that you can usually choose to engage with or not. It's generally, especially starting out, I think, a good idea to use the Opportunity Deck whenever it's full. Those cards are typically more rewarding than the normal ones, although they don't directly progress any of the main stories. However, there are often side stories within the opportunity cards. So we're kind of just settling in. We're fresh out of jail, and let's see what's going on. So it loaded up a couple of options for us. We've got a cold night. The icy fog cuts like a sharp wood. Best stay inside and shovel coal into the fire. What? Huh? The small hours. A noise somewhere in your house. Investigate. Alright, so we will try to stealthily go see what's going on. A frozen little sparrow. Inside your parlor, huddled up to the smoldering remains of the coal fire, is a scruffy wretch of no more than 12. The urchin is cold enough to not much care that you found him. He says, "Tell you what, Gov, I've got some decent junk stashed on your roof. Let me warm up and I'll share it with you." Why not? You're losing nothing, and it is bitterly cold outside. Sunless sea intruding upon ratty larceny. I believe this is a side story that is related to the spin-off game Sunless Sea, which is also excellent. A team of masked burglar rats stagger from an alley, hoisting a timbered sea chest on their backs. One of them sees you. "Hell's bells, biggin, scarper!" The rodents disperse into drain pipes and gutters. Their pilfered chest thuds onto the cobbles. It is whisper-locked. The cobweb-light silver tumblers turn beneath the slightest breath. Speak the right words in the right order, and they'll align. You'll never be able to open it, but perhaps you can sell it to someone who can. We have the option to sell it to a blind bruiser who asks no questions. Apparently a known criminal, he can be found at Medusa's head. We can sell it to a Z captain of your acquaintance. They won't pay as well, but you're sure they'll find a use for this. That would be to basically sell it to my Sunless Sea character, which I will not be doing. Or we can deliver it to the constables. They must have a lost property office. It may yet find its way back to its rightful owner. Nah, I'm gonna sell it to the blind bruiser. The deal. He slides a pouch of glim across the table. I appreciate you bringing this to us so directly. It is a delight to deal with someone of such commendable sense. It saves so much time. For example, I need waste no words explaining that our business here is of a confidential nature. Nor need I belabor the tragic consequences of one of us betraying that confidence. He pats the chest. We have a cellar of whisperers what are eager to prove themselves on locks such as this one. Let's see if they'll be eating pork tonight or peas pudding. Alright, we got paid in 350 shards of glim, which is basically a type of common gem that's used as a type of currency. We became more subtle by making that choice. These are kind of stats that represent your reputation. What approaches you take to things, what choices you make will affect them over time. And we also have now the criminals owe us a favor. We'll be able to call that in eventually. So this card doesn't have anything I can currently do with it. This is a faction card. It is a generic card representing one of the factions in town. Such as the criminals, we just got a favor from that faction. For this one, there's nothing I can do with it. Basically, I haven't developed enough for the revolutionaries to be particularly interested in me, and I haven't found enough about them to be interested in them. A street card is selling 4th City rags. They're going cheap, and they may be of use to you. But there's probably a reason why they're going cheap. So this would require me to have a currency that I don't have to be able to buy it. I'll hold on to that for now. The give a gift card requires you to have resources, which I don't, so I'm tossing that one. Investigating the affluent photographer, another one that's not really relevant yet. An opportunity for profit. In a public house where ruffians gather, you hear two ne'er-do-wells arguing about the division of the spoils from their latest robbery. My options are I can eavesdrop and just try to overhear them, or buy them both a drink, which I cannot afford. I do not have the currency. So, we're going to try to eavesdrop. The argument is getting rather heated. They might mention something about their hiding place. Now, I'm not very watchful yet, so this is probably going to go poorly. Don't get too close. They stop arguing and turn to stare at you. A quick exit would be wise. So, didn't get anything, but got some practice. A gift of time, that one restores 10 actions to my bank, and it happens once a week. And I don't have room for 10 actions, so I am not going to do that right now. Let's start exploring more of what the normal cards have to offer us. We are in Spite, and we're going to look at the option to... first I'm going to go ahead and explore some of the normal ones, just what's going on in the alleys of Spite. Not going to touch the ambition left, I'll get into that later. And I want to hold off on starting to the making your name, because it's kind of the main quest. In order to do that, I'm going to end up doing a lot of gathering resources from some of the more normal cards, but I wanted to show them all at least once. So the Alleys of Spite. The ragged old market of Spite is known for its silk weavers and its pickpockets. Blithenhale is notorious for its feral cats. Flowerdene Street is the heart of the worst rookery in fallen London. This is a good place to learn the ways of the shadows. Oh, one thing, the banner up here changes depending on where you are in the town. Pretty cool. We're going to try to follow an unsuspecting mark. Sharpen your skills, you might learn something. You slip unseen from shadow to shadow, until your target stops to doze on a park bench. Why waste the opportunity? You slip a rusty gold ring from his finger and vanish into the night. Eavesdrop on a random target. Secrets are valuable in fallen London. If you can get close enough to overhear, you may benefit accordingly. On several occasions you get close enough to listen in. You pick up a few intriguing scraps. Got us more of those hints. So that's about that for that card. Well, let's see what's going on with the cats. The Cats of Spite. Fallen Londoners pursue cats avidly. Why? Catch a cat, catch a secret, a toothy footpad confides. They can be tricksy, though. If you catch the right one, it'll tell you a secret, but it's bad luck to hurt them, and it's damnably hard to sneak up on a cat. So, catching cats is just a generic way to get more of those whispered hints if I need them for other things. Courier's work. You've learned your way around the Alleys of Spite. Can you use your knowledge for gain? The Ministry of Public Decency opens letters. Postmen are harried to distraction by savage cats. Many desperate souls turn to private couriers for help. The costermongers of Spite sell chestnut mushrooms, blind cave herring, smoked bat, and secrets. The steely-eyed costermonger needs you to take a secret to a colleague 5 streets away. Time is of the essence. Take a long, safe, unobserved route. You probably won't get there on time. Oh, you'll probably get there on time, but you won't earn a bonus. Or attempt a shortcut through a more dangerous area. You might earn the bonus, but there's a significant chance you'll get lost, and a tiny chance you'll get eaten. Well, YOLO. Well ahead of time, the costermonger grins when you return. Nice work, here's a little bonus for you. You've learned something about keeping an eye open, too. So we got our pay and got better at sneaking and watching. And intercept a courier. Perhaps you've learnt enough to play the other side. That sounds like something to maybe take a shot at when I've gotten a little sneakier. Okay, the brazen urchin returns. Perhaps that urchin who sometimes perches on your roof will be back with those scraps he promised. Check the roof. Was it right to trust an urchin? A missing slate. A distressing fungal growth about the guttering. A series of cryptic thieves' marks. But no brazen urchin. Oh, but we can try again. The rooftop's Urchin is as good as his word. He presents you with a pungent sack of round knobbly things, broken brass ratwork, and a matching pair of chimney pots. The Relicers will lap 'em up, so they will, claims the brazen Urchin confidently. No worries, and there's more where that came from if I can use your parlor on cold nights, and you can spare the odd currant bun. Help an orphan, would ya? The brazen Urchin pauses to wipe a grubby paw along your sideboard. Well, to be honest with ya, I'm not really an orphan. More what you might call abandoned. Me ma and dat are villains, I've heard. Still, makes no odds to me. Pleasure doing business with ya. Okay, we got 8 certifiable scrap from that. We now have enough whispered hints to buy those rags. The moment you touch them, you hear voices. The voices continue all the way home, and don't leave you even in your dreams. Eventually, you ball up the rags and lock them in your wardrobe overnight. That quietens the voices, but the dreams will stay with you a good while. Well, we got our bundle of rags, but apparently that was a bit scary. Our nightmares jumped from 0 all the way to 4, which is actually a really huge hit. And we are now touched by fingerwork. This is another faction card for the Devils. Yes, in Fallen London, the Devils are just an accepted part of society. Courteous, rapacious, merciless, beguiling. The emissaries of hell are here for one purpose: souls. Well, and also perhaps the company, the sights, and a little chamber music. They're a little bit easier to impress early on. We have an option right away to simply attend a lecture at the Brass Embassy. Hell sponsors public events to educate Londoners on the advantages of soullessness. Which we'll go ahead and do. May as well. Can't hurt to see a lecture, right? Souls, they say, exalt the body upwards. But there are other buoyant substances also. Swamp gas, for instance. The breath of the wax wind. When we see the soul in its proper company, is it so very enviable? Afterwards there is sherry. An amber-eyed devil pumps your hand and avidly praises your open-mindedness. Hell now owes us a favor, but apparently being seen at one of their lectures is a bit scandalous. Now that we've used up a few more actions, going to go ahead and claim the time. A gift of time. Hello, delicious friends. We hope this little gift helps you to enjoy some extra respite in London. Feel free to use it immediately, or hold on to it for when you have some spare time. Time, the healer, will bring you another every week. Take care, fail better games. Refresh 10 actions, stay a little longer in London today. Done, the card will be available again when Time the Healer comes next. Stay safe, delicious friend. Alright. A sporting sort. Shroom hopping, weasel fights, spider pits. The opportunities for a sporting sort are without number in London. That lets us bet on weasel races, which we currently don't have enough currency to do, so I'll hold off on that. Avenge a struggling artist's broken heart. The rejection has driven him into an artistic frenzy. He needs a thimble of blood from the one who betrayed him to complete his work. The color, he explains, red-eyed. The color must be true! Options are, we can teach the heartbreaker a lesson. He's holding court in the singing mandrake, narrating tales of the artist's private affairs for drinks. Or, blood is blood. No need for a confrontation. He just needs some blood. Yours will do. Looks like I'm slightly better at this approach, and honestly, I don't know about going and assaulting this guy's ex for him. So, or not even ex, someone who just rejected him, it says. So yeah, let's do that. How does he know? You give the struggling artist a handkerchief soaked in your own blood and spin him a yarn of justice done. He holds it to his nose. inhales. "Charlatan!" he screeches, flinging it back in your face. "You think I wouldn't know the blood that pumped through his heart?" In a fit of artistic pique, he burns the painting, and with it any chance of profit you had from this incident. Well, that didn't go well. Okay, so let's look at what else we can do here in Spite. Robbing the ruins. The brazen urchin peers down from your guttering. Got a tip for you. Might be worth your time, Gov. What do you say? There's an old church I know, boarded up in that. Should be some candles and stuff inside. Tell you what, you do the heavy stuff, and we'll split the proceeds. I don't know if I'm good enough for that yet. I'll hold off. Reunion the Surface Fop. This actually isn't relevant to anything. This is the start card for the current month's special exceptional story. I will probably be giving that one its own episode in the near future. A trail of crumbs. A pair of society ladies emerged from a tea shop. The creature came in with a Zailer. Shame you missed him. He was haggard as anything. Brilliant. Rumor has it their captain died at sea. Her companion gasps. Did you see its little tentacles? How daintily it grasped the cup? Now, dear, you can't go adopting it. It's just visiting London, and you'd bore it in no time. When did you last go off adventuring? We should investigate. The subject of society gossip is almost always worth investigating. A chorus of coos. A server is tidying the only empty table, clearing away a high tea stand. It has the remains of a crustless cucumber sandwich, a few lumps of ginger bun, and an untouched piece of a Victoria sponge. One customer stops beside you at the door. You just missed the most charming little thing, a Blemmigan on a tour of London. It had perfect table manners and opinions on cake. Entrancing, her companion nods. It is sampling London's cafes before it returns to Z. Going to Beatrice's next. Good choice, I say. A Blemmigan at Beatrice's. Ah, Beatrice's, London's favorite tea rooms. They have a range of fragrant teas and a menu dedicated to cake and scones. It's whispered that, on certain Tuesdays, they even have clotted cream from the surface. A Blemmigan is perched on the front counter. There is a standoff. The Blemmigan is gesticulating at a menu. The server is asking for evidence that it can pay. Purchase the Blemmigan a full cream tea. It is the only way the situation will be resolved to everyone's satisfaction. I'll try, but I'm not sure I can afford that. Sucking crumbs off tentacles. The Blemmigan focuses on the array of fine comestibles, affording you a moment to observe it. It bears old scars, triangles of flesh that have regrown a different color to the surrounding tissue. One tendril is barely more than a stump. Another has suffered rope burn. The creature's life at Z has not been easy. Finally sated, it considers your face for some time. Whatever it sees there encourages it to climb up your arm like a sailor up the rigging. When you return home, it sets to building a nest from various items in your laundry. It seems that something about you has encouraged it to settle down ashore. We now have one Blemmigan tourist. This mushroom enjoys leisurely excursions, one with a sensible itinerary and plenty of stops for cake. I believe that Blemmigan is going to be our new companion. Yes, actually that is quite a nice companion to just be given away to a new character. I will take it. It increases our watchful by 8, our dangerous by 3, and our bizarre by 2. Apparently our current ragged clothing is actively penalizing our persuasive, so we'll go ahead and switch to the scary haunted rags. This threadbare garment whispers to you in your dreams. When you wake, sometimes you remember. I guess it makes me paranoid and that's why I'm more watchful? Let's see, I didn't have... nope. Okay, so at this point we should look at the making your name, because there's not much else to do here in Spite, except for that just reappeared. A polite deacon needs discreet work. A polite deacon has a problem. The brass embassy have conspired with the masters of the bazaar to prescribe certain church records relating to devils. The books must be saved from the flames. I can attempt to persuade a courier that the book should be saved. The men of the Ministry of Public Decency are said to be incorruptible. However, they imply private couriers, and you are rather convincing. Or steal the books. The books burn later today. Can you pilfer them in time? Let's try to steal them. Light and shadow. Despite the concerns of the church, these particular books don't merit the ministry's full security arrangements. The courier is green, barely more than an urchin. You have no difficulty in shadowing her steps. When she stops to buy something that might be identified as a pie, you pilfer the books. The polite deacon is delighted. When he hands you your payment of candles, you can tell he's aching to make a joke about light and shadow. He's too polite, though. And we got 30 Foxfire candle stubs. Excellent. Spite teams with penny pickpockets. To rise above the crowd, you'll need to pull off something ambitious. You've heard of a courier who moves incendiary secrets for anarchists. If you could intercept them... Gather moon pearls to buy information about the courier's route, then steal the courier's secrets to unlock new stories. We need 100 moon pearls. Let's see. Earn moon pearls by working as a courier yourself. Be swift, be wary, or hone your shadowy skills in the alleys of Spite. Let's work on getting some moon pearls. Oh, this is the courier job, so I'll just be repeating this for a little bit to get up to 100 moon pearls. Meanwhile, we're also getting better at shadowy and watchful. Okay, we got our 100 moon pearls. A squirrely urchin claims to know the courier's route, but she wants payment before she'll part with her information. Snaffle couriered messages. Someone, never you mind who, is sending a courier across town with a juicy pouch of messages. You've run the courier routes, haven't you? Find the courier, lift their pouch, and you'll be well paid for it. Our options here are making your name, steal a revolutionary communication. According to your expensive information, a black-capped courier will cross Pigpenny Street at 9:15. Have to succeed at that to expand the game further. Or brush past her in the crowd, lift the pouch. Busy tonight, that'll help. I'm not entirely sure what's the difference here. Or exchange the pouch for another full of fake secrets. Trickier, but it might be worth a bonus from your employers. Well, let's try to brush past her in the crowd and lift the pouch. That seems like a simple enough way to get it done. Got it! You vanish into the crowd before she even realizes what happened. Oh, I get it. This is just practicing against that courier. This is the actual theft. I understand now. Let's take a shot at the actual theft. 9:20, 5, or 25 past. A half hour. You wait, but there is no sign of a courier, black-capped or otherwise. Your information was bad. Has someone been telling lies? Well, obviously it's not our fault. It's not that we weren't sneaky enough and scared them off. Let's try again. There. Right on time. Black cap, white sleeves, leather pouch. You bump against her in the crowd and slide away with a brown, sealed envelope hidden under your coat. A trove of secrets. The letter inside is typed, unsigned. Parts are encrypted, but others record the recent movements of a careworn journalist. His visits to bare-knuckle fights. his regular appointments with an anxious auditor at Beatrice's tea parlor. We can sell the letter to the highest bidder, keep it to ourselves, or trade it for something more practical. Or destroy the evidence, which will probably get us a favor from the anarchists. I say let's go ahead and keep it. After all, a secret shared is a secret squandered. Patient as a spider, perhaps one day it will be invaluable. Perhaps it won't. But a secret that was destined for someone else now belongs to you. Another strand in your web. Check if... Nope, okay. So now that that is done, we have a lot more options here. We'll go ahead and do another round of just kind of exploring and see what's in sight here for us. We have an option to rob a drunk. Fall asleep in the gutter around here? Someone needs educating. You're doing him a favor. But who is he when he's not snoring in 3 inches of street slurry? An anonymous wretch. Once he might have been anyone, now he's no one. Let's take a shot at it. That's interesting. At a safe distance, you examine your loot. That gives us a bundle of oddities, which is kind of a bag with random loot. It can be sometimes really good or sometimes really bad. I mean, not bad, it's always good, but not much. Something warm. You can feel the pulses beneath the flimsy linen, like a tiny, sleeping animal. Warm amber. Someone wrapped it with a note. For the children. We got 2 nodules of warm amber from that random drunk. It was for the children, apparently. I'm sure that's fine. Anything new in the alleys of spite? Let's see if we are good enough to take a shot at intercepting a courier. Useful lessons. You were the quarry. Now you'll be the hunter. Oh, easily. Someone, never you mind who, is sending a... Oh, I understand. This was on the same... Okay, we've already seen that. That makes sense now. Okay. Robbing the ruins. Let's see. What... That looks more likely. Let's give it a shot. This is to take the old church that the Urchin knows about down and see about some abandoned candles. Empty-handed. The problem isn't getting in, it's getting in with nobody noticing. Twitching lace curtains and swift constables confound this night's work. Ah, well, let's try again. The old church is now a haunt for bats. Not even a rat down on his luck would call this ruin home. Still, your roof-perching associate was right. It doesn't take much work with a crowbar and a chisel to break into the old vestry. You split the Hall of Candles back at your place over tea and currant buns. Alright, got us more candles, made the Urchin like us more, it seems. Now he's proposing a deal. The Urchin that haunts your rooftop is back. He peers down, looking like he has something of import to impart. Poor lost mite. I've got some good stuff for you, Gov, but I need you to track down 2 people. They're somewhere in Spite. Me ma and me da. He shows you a rugged, blurry photograph of a young couple dancing. This seems important enough to him. I want to get better first. The careworn journalist. A journalist approaches you. A recording angel. A defender of the truth. A matter of the press. The careworn journalist doesn't much look like a recording angel. More of a threadbare scandal hound. He wants you to follow the daughter of an MP, and he's willing to pay. Sounds good. Gin and elopement. Right, so you followed her to a public house in Vale Garden, and she met her father's undergardener, and there was talk of eloping to the surface? Ha! More than enough! The Neathy Eye will take this in a heartbeat. The reporter sighs over his gin glass. I remember when I used to look for actual news, you know. Still, this is money in the bank. Come back later and I'll have more work. Cheers! Alright, he paid us in Rosti gold. It's interesting how everyone in London has clearly just adjusted to their whole city now existing in a massive underground cave. More work from the careworn journalist. The careworn journalist bumps into you near a fish market. You discuss business over whelks. I'm not even sure what that is. The careworn journalist wants you to investigate below stairs at the home of a wealthy banker. We got a chance. I'll take a shot. A little romance. You spend a few days in the house under the pretense that you're measuring the floors for new carpets. A few days later, you make your report, a stultifying catalogue of domestic routine. You mention that the cook and the butler have been exchanging fond glances over the soup tureen. The careworn journalist is suddenly interested. Are either married? Are they forbidden from romance? Is the difference in status a problem? Do they confide in anyone? You answer his questions to his satisfaction, and he pays up. But you can't help but wonder what he's up to. Why is he interested in this everyday flirtation? And he claims to write for the Neathy Eye, but why have you never seen a copy? I mean, we were in prison until, like, earlier today, so I don't know how much I'd be relying on our own street knowledge here. Looking into the careworn journalist, just who is this down-at-heel scandal sniffer? Follow him. He claims to work for the Neathy Eye, but you've never seen a copy. And why is he so interested in the love lives of servants? Getting risky, but I'm curious. Sharper than he looks. You've been spotted. Oh, it's you. I'm afraid I don't have any work for you just now, but I'm sure that will change. Come and have a drink. Let's try again. Gin and mystery. The careworn journalist leaves Spite, heading west toward Vale Garden. He stops for a glass of gin at a grimy public house on Hollow Street. There's someone waiting for him, a clay man with one hand and a vicious glare. I've got to find new agents, the journalist tells him. One of the current crop is getting suspicious. Tell the evaluator that I'll be back to strength in a week or so. Well, so much for that line of work, and this meeting has raised more questions than it answered. An evaluator doesn't sound much like a newspaper employee. The hacking reporter, a pale and skinny fellow, approaches you. His rasping cough precedes him by several minutes. Another gentleman of the press, apparently. More journalistic work. The hacking reporter has heard about your investigative skills. He'd like you to follow a respectable society lady and look into her affairs. I'll take a shot. A day in the life. The woman visits the labyrinth of tigers, takes a stroll down Ladybones Road, and calls on a handful of society ladies. Nothing newsworthy here. Let's take another crack at it. Is this news? The lady takes tea with a friend. Could those glances between the two ladies be considered lingering? Are those clasped hands indicative of more than friendship? You report your findings to the hacking reporter. Well, the unexpurgated London Gazette doesn't really care for this sort of thing, and the gossip rags don't pay well enough to be bothering with. You've done what I asked, though. I'll have more work for you later. And he paid us in glim. Another job from the hacking reporter. I say let these off on that until we've gotten a bit better. Try your hand at the Pickpocket's promenade. You have grown accustomed to the schemes and alleys of Spite. Melt into the crowd to separate victims from their valuables. This will unlock a new location on your map containing a new activity. Well, new activities sound promising. A little light-fingered legerdemain. The streets of Spite bustle with citizens, about half of whom have pockets. Some of those pockets contain precious, pretty things. Open the map and go to the Crowds of Spite location to learn more. Okay. Well, let's do that then. Oh, I see. The Crowds of Spite. An evening's dipping. Don your most inconspicuous clothing, prepare your slates and distractions. Where will you go to pickpocket? Shorter routes are safer, but make it harder to get big payoffs. We've got the tenterhooks. Here the dyers make their lairs with a web of cloth and their tangled lines. Escape is tricky, but pursuit trickier. That's a shorter route. Or we could go to Smash Tile Alley. Here the kiln tenders bake brick to feed the endless appetite for roof tiles. One of the many perils of the Neath, stalactites that fall like god-flung stones to crack a roof open like snail shells. Or Blythenhale. The cats of Blythenhale are notorious. Here the cat chasers often find themselves the cat chased. And that's the longest route. Let's start simple and go for the tenterhooks. You are prepared. Draw opportunity cards to move through the crowd. Approach or evade your targets, depending on how many chances you want to take. You have 3 points of unseen. You are hidden in the shadows. And your approaching your destination is a 7, whatever that means. Oh, I had forgotten about this place. Okay, so this place relies on the opportunity deck, and it's almost impossible to do anything here without having a full deck. Let's see. How does this work? Find out how to gather pickpockets trophies and what to avoid. Draw opportunity cards to see who you encounter in the crowd. Steal from marks or ignore them. It's your choice. When approaching your destination reaches 10, your promenade is over, and you can trade in your pickpockets trophies. Don't let your unseen reach 0, or your promenade will end badly. So, now that I've kind of shoehorned myself into this, I will go ahead and we can stop this episode here while some opportunity cards are generated, and we will take a shot at the pickpocketing promenade next time. And so, this has been my first episode of this Let's Play. I hope you like it. I know it's a bit odd to do a Let's Play of a browser-based game, but this city is just so wonderful, so deeply full of lore, and yeah, it makes you work for it. You can tell it's really not going heavy with telling you what's going on right away. It leaves you to kind of, just wander the city, live your life, and figure out what's going on as you go. So its narrative's a little bit softer. It doesn't really push you onto any given path. It's very, very open, and I think that's what I like about it. So we will go ahead and see you next time with the Pickpocketing Promenade.